5. Max, you're an expert on all things Tom Brady, so it'll only be fitting that I started with you, obviously. Is Tom Brady still a top 3 quarterback?
Yeah, I have to give it up. I think they got that list exactly right. Only thing is I put Herbert with a bullet. You know, he's 9 with a bullet. I expect he could be a top 5 quarterback this year. That kid is great. But yeah, I got to give it to Brady. Like, who would you I take Mahomes before him. I thought Mahomes was the most spectacular player in the Super Bowl, in spite of the numbers. Just watch and put your eyes on the screen. And Rodgers was the reigning MVP. I'll take Brady. You know, like Russell Wilson has an argument, but I would put him 4th given the year he just had. Brady was excellent. He threw 40 touchdowns last year, didn't throw a lot of interceptions, led his team through growing pains, which included his own growing pains with the team. Every reason that everybody told me that I'd be wrong about the prediction was plainly true last season. And I think that based on talent and where they are in their careers and the seasons they just had, it's fair to take Mahomes and Rodgers ahead of them. You can make an argument for Russell Wilson. I think you'll lose that argument based on the last season they just had. And really no one else. Who else is really in the conversation?
Well, to me, it's sometimes I wonder about us. I wonder about this industry. When you can ask a question of a dude that is a 7-time champion and is right now at age 43, the reigning, defending Super Bowl champion quarterback. And we're literally asking the question, does he belong in the top 3? Well, if he doesn't, who the hell does? I mean, it's just utterly ridiculous. We should be asking the question, why the hell is Matthew Stafford at number 6? Don't what you do in the postseason matters? Am I correct, Damian Woody, in saying that I don't think the Detroit Lions have won a playoff game in what is it, 30, 40 years?
It's 1 or 2 playoff wins in 60-something years.
I mean, Matthew Stafford doesn't have playoff victory. How you top 6? Ahead of Dak Prescott, ahead of Lamar Jackson, how you top 6? And I love Matthew Stafford. I know he's got game, but damn, you ain't won anything. How are you in the top 6? To me, there should be no question about Tom Brady. Tom Brady is one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the National Football League because no one's won more championships than him. No one else is the reigning, defending Super Bowl champion. And oh, by the way, you know what? He just produces and he closes. He closes. Everything about the quarterback position is not about numbers. It's about leadership. It's about galvanizing all the pieces around you and maximizing the potential that you're surrounded with. And I don't know if we know of anyone that has ever been better than Tom Brady in that regard. That automatically puts him at top 3 without even looking at the numbers.
Well, listen, I thought this list was really, really good. I mean, you could look at the list and make maybe a couple slight changes, but I thought for the most part the order was really good by everyone that was chosen to be a part of it. I think, Stephen A., as far as Matthew Stafford is concerned, I think it's more of an indictment on the Detroit Lions organization than Matthew Stafford. And I get it. You know, he has no postseason wins. But that's why I also say coming into the season, as far as Matthew Stafford is concerned, I think he's under the most pressure of any player in the National Football League this year. Because now going to the Los Angeles Rams with Sean McVay and shipping Jared Goff, a guy who took you to the Super Bowl, shipping him to Detroit, that says a lot about who they think, and a lot of people around the league think that Matthew Stafford is. If he doesn't deliver with the Los Angeles Rams, boy, that's going to be a big indictment on Matthew Stafford as far as his body of work, as far as his career is concerned. But I'm going to take it to another guy on this list. I think Justin Herbert, by the end of this year, is going to be a top 5 quarterback.
Yep.
I do. I think Justin Herbert is going to be a top 5 quarterback in this league by the end of this 2021 season. Listen, think about this for a second. The guy had no offseason last year. None. 0. First game of the year, Tyrod Taylor gets a bad injection right before pregame. And then Justin Herbert has to come in without even getting all the starters reps in that week leading up to the game. And all he did was light it up. And he never looked back since. All he did was throw for over 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Okay? Then you look at what the Los Angeles Chargers have added to help this young man. They went out there and got 2 offensive linemen, which was a big issue for the Los Angeles Chargers. Guys, I think Justin Herbert is going to be a superstar.
I know this started
sooner rather than later.
I know this started as a Tom Brady conversation, but I want to, or debate. We agree he's top 3. I want to address the 2 guys you brought up, both you guys, Matt Stafford and Justin Herbert. I said Justin Herbert should be with a bullet. He might be top 5 by the end of this year. I agree. That kid is great.
None of us disagree about Justin Herbert.
That's right. But Stafford is interesting because Stafford was always seen the way that Herbert is now seen. Oh, my God, look at this kid's talent, right? But he was in a bad organization that couldn't win, and that includes with him. Even though he's putting up the numbers into the eyeball test, he's leading comebacks and all that stuff, fourth quarter, all this stuff. And Stafford's now going to L.A. I agree the pressure is all on him. Tom Brady won all those Super Bowls, because we're talking Tom Brady, with the Patriots. But how would he do outside the Patriots? He went to a loaded team, but he won with that loaded team. Stafford didn't do anything in Detroit in the playoffs, but now he's also going to a loaded team. What's he going to do with the loaded team? His whole legacy's on the line. Because if he doesn't do anything with it, we're going to look back and go, oh, maybe it just wasn't Detroit. Maybe it's something about Stafford. And if he does, we'll see his whole career with Detroit a different way.
Well, I'm already there because I know that the Detroit Lions are off. When I just looked it up, Damian, Molly, Max, the Detroit Lions, if I remember correctly, if these stats tell me something, the last time the Detroit Lions have one playoff victory. They went to the conference finals in 1991.
Yep.
That is the only playoff victory that the Detroit Lions have had since 1957.
Yeah. City
so we understand
better.
how bad that is. We understand how bad that is. But, guys, Matthew Stafford was in the playoffs 3 times. I mean, I understand that you might not have got there the other years, but the 3 times you got to the playoffs against New Orleans, against Dallas, against Seattle, you lost all 3. He did have 3 bites at the apple to win a playoff game, and that didn't happen. So I think it's 2-3, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, come on.
The most underrated stat, like, by the way, the least talked about playoff futility stat is the Lions' one playoff win in almost 65 years now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Listen, at least they got the top pick in the lottery.
And they on every Thanksgiving, y'all. They on every Thanksgiving at noon. Why? Why are they on at Thanksgiving?
Because they're turkeys.
Why?
All right. Enough with the Detroit slander, okay? Let's all take it down
Detroit's
a notch.
nice. The downtown area, it's booming. They doing nice things there. The football team is another matter. But the city, they're doing a lot better.
Detroit's
I know. Everyone retires early there. I don't know what the deal is. But I understood there was a little Saturday Night Fever happening. So, and while also making it clear he is unhappy with Packers management, the 2020 NFL MVP shed some light on where his mindset is as training camp approaches.
I'm going to enjoy the hell out of this week, and then I'm going to get back to working out and figure things out in a couple weeks.
Looks all smiles to me. Same with this guy, 2-time Super Bowl champ Damian Woody on your screen. Damian, good to see you. You had me dying laughing this morning when you were thanking kind of Tom Brady for the fat crib you're living in. It's good stuff. I'll start with you.
Hey.
Right? He certainly contributed, as did you. You did the work too. Yep. But we're going to focus on Aaron Rodgers, those two hanging out at a charity golf event. That must have been fun. Where is Aaron Rodgers leaning? Damian, starting with you.
Who's up?
You.
Oh, you start with me? What?
Yeah.
No, listen, I tend to, I've said it all along, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to report when training camp opens. And if you listen to what he had said, you know, he talked about, you know, he's going to take a week and then, you know, in a couple weeks he's going to, you know, get it all figured out. That really coincides with training camp. And listen, guys, you know, the one thing about players is once you start getting closer to training camp, you start to get that itch. And players ultimately play. That's just what's in our DNA when training camp comes around. And Green Bay has all the leverage in this particular situation. I know we talked about different teams like the Denver Broncos and, being the primary team, but no one really thought that Aaron Rodgers would be traded, because if Aaron Rodgers wants to win another Super Bowl, the best place for Aaron Rodgers to do that is Green Bay. They've been to the NFC Championship back-to-back years. He had an MVP last year with the Green Bay Packers. So, listen, I've said it all offseason with all this Aaron Rodgers drama going on. I think ultimately when the dust settles, Aaron Rodgers will be there in training camp when training camp starts for the Green Bay Packers.
Well, I hope not for his sake if he doesn't want to be there. And according to Stephen A., he doesn't want to be there. And not just Stephen A., many others. He doesn't want to be there. That's what all the reporting is and what the rumors have been. And if this is not just strictly football, look, Damian, you're right. If it's strictly football, I'd say the Packers are one of the best 3 to 5 places for him. Like, take all the quarterbacks off all the teams and say, where should Aaron Rodgers go? The Packers would be one of the candidates. They're a powerhouse team. They're really good. And with him, they're legit Super Bowl contenders, as we've seen in the